Welcome back to the Girl Power Alliance podcast. I'm so excited about our guest today. First of all, you're going to start seeing a lot more men involved in our podcasts and our calls. And it's a huge honor to have this particular man. If you've been around network marketing, you know his name. Let me give you a little bit about his background, his bio. He's a very influential figure in the network marketing world. He stands as a testament to what can be accomplished in the profession and as a trainer. I have been hearing his name for decades. His career spans over 3 decades. He has a hands-on approach to teaching and training. He's no nonsense. He's been wildly successful, kind of the way I heard your story, Todd, kind of accidentally and then on purpose in the profession. He's just a man of integrity, a man that is real, and he's going to offer a ton of value. And he is one of our keynote speakers for our inaugural event, the Kim 10 Live in Los Angeles. So welcome, Todd.
Hey, how's it going? Good to be here.
I'm super happy to have you. I don't know how we actually became friends on social media, but I feel like the network marketing world is kind of a small world in theory. And if you've been in network marketing for any period of time, you've heard the name and you know the name, Todd Falcone. So how do you want to share a little bit of your, like, how did you even get involved? Obviously you've been around because everybody knows your name. You're one of the most profound, respected teachers, trainers, and speakers. Like take your network marketing career out. You're very, very well known for your speaking ability and just being a profound and real and fun speaker. But how did you actually get involved in network marketing?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually the result of a cold call. So,
really?
Yeah, it's funny. People are like, cold calls don't work. I'm like, well, I'm here. It worked for somebody.
Wow.
I was graduating out of the marketing department at Long Beach State and, trying to find my career path, like pretty much all college grads probably do. And right around that time, I got a phone call from some guy and I thought they were recruiting me into a job. And just kind of the way the conversation went. So I drove to Irvine, California, went to this, what I thought was a job interview. I was so naive that I didn't even know it was a business opportunity meeting. Like literally, because I had never heard of multi-level network marketing. I didn't know like anything about business opportunities. And I walked in and I actually got nervous because all these other people were coming in, obviously, to see this, this business presentation. And I thought it was my competition. And so they pulled us into this room and I sat there and I watched a presentation, a business opportunity presentation. And honestly, like the concept of network marketing just I clicked. It was immediate for me. It's like, wait, here's this product. You can share it with other people. You can make a retail profit. You can build a team. There's no limits to the size of your team. There's no boss. You can work when you want, play when you want, no limits to your income. And I was like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. And so I started that journey. I signed up and I didn't go, oh, this is a scam or this is one of those things because I didn't know. I had no prior experience, no neighbors, no friends, no relatives that ever even knew about network marketing. And so I started that journey and it's been 35 years. So I've been in the space. I mean, I built in the field for about 16, 17 years. In the last 18 years, I've been a full-time speaker, trainer where I, get companies, network marketing companies and large teams that hire me to come in and speak and train just based on, my own experience in the business and the things that I did to be successful.
It's a common theme, and tell me if you've had this experience too. People like you who've been around, like you're tried and true. So, you've gone through the ups and downs, 30 years in the profession, then you've seen all the things times 10, and you've seen the companies that are clearly scams, and you've heard all the things. But it's a common thing that I've heard from people that have been around and who have been very successful. They had the same response when they first got in. They just got it, like it clicked. It's like, wait a minute, I could do this, and this is the result. I'm in.
Yeah, and it's interesting because not everybody in that room, it clicked for them. I think I remember sitting there and going, you're doing this too, right? You're doing this, right? Like it made sense. Like the raw concept made sense. So, I do believe that for the people that see it for the first time, it snaps. They get it. It makes sense. I mean, I don't know what's not to get about network marketing. I understand that there's, some imagery around it or people have opinions about it. Most of the time it's opinions that are very uneducated and they don't really know what they're talking about. But, from a conceptual standpoint, it's just a beautiful business vehicle.
I totally agree. And I never had any weird feelings about it. I still don't, even with seeing, the stuff that goes on in the profession with companies, with people. I still think it's probably the best option out there for the average person. And I have a question for you because you're very, very well known as a speaker now, even outside of the profession of network marketing, you speak all over. So did your success as a professional network marketer and trainer in that profession, like guide you into the speaking world, or how did
Yeah,
that kind of happen?
for sure. So it's interesting because I'm actually getting ready to run a speakers academy because I've had a lot of people that want to become speakers. And I didn't ever want to be a speaker. It wasn't like, hey, I want to be a speaker and a trainer. I want to, motivate audiences and travel. It was never part of the plan. I was in a company for 11 years that was, that was providing, it was a network marketing company, but it was providing tools and resources for network marketers. So my entire organization were other network marketers that were using our tools. And so I got exposed to, kind of more the entire profession rather than just my company. And also during that time frame, I ended up just, I don't know, by volunteering, I guess, became their key trainer. So I was doing conference call trainings, multiple times a week. And I became known as, kind of the main trainer of that company. And then when they went out of business, I had a guy that called me up that was running events. And he's like, hey, dude, you want to come and speak at my event in San Francisco? And I was like, yeah, I guess. Like, what do you want me to talk about? He's like, dude, just talk about how you build. You're good at building. Just talk about what you do. And I'd never spoken to, like, on a stage, on a platform, to an audience of people in all sorts of different companies that I didn't have some kind of attachment to. And, I did it, and I did it that one time. And then somebody from that asked me to do a conference call. And then from that, they asked me to do a training, and it was like a year into it. And it was funny. I can't remember what event it was, but some guy comes up to me at an event. He goes, hey, do you have any product I can buy from you? And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I wouldn't bring any network marketing product here. What are you talking about? Like, I was like, no, not network marketing product. Do you have like cassettes or CDs or anything like that? Because if you did, I'd buy them. And I was like, I don't. And he's like, you probably should make one. And so I thought about that for about a month. And then I ended up writing out my very first training, which is how to win in the game of prospecting. And it was a studio version. I scripted the entire thing. It was like 98 pages of script, which is crazy. And I went in there and I produced it in a single day. And that became the very first training program that I put together. So, but I kind of, it's like I stumbled into that room. I kind of invited into that room, and I guess I did a good enough job where I kept getting invited back again and again. And then, now it's like 18 years later, 30 countries around the world. I've spoken all over the place, and it's a blast.
That's awesome. So was that 18 years ago that you produced your first thing? That's pretty cool,
it was probably
right?
about 17 years ago that I produced the first training. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean, when you look back, I mean, you're in your world, so it's just normal to you. But looking back, what a sense of freedom and almost sovereignty that you have been able to determine your future, you and your family's future. You have been able to determine it, to say yes to things. I'm sure if you're like everybody else, some things you say yes to don't turn out exactly the way you want, but they always lead to something else. But there's I feel such pride in that, whether succeed or fail, I've made my own choices. And I feel like that is a common thread amongst not just entrepreneurs, because I don't always think network marketers are entrepreneurs. I think that they think they're entrepreneurs, but they're not, because they really don't have a lot of skin in the game as a network marketer. But I think that is what so many people desire. And you've done it, Todd.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole speaking thing, like, I just kind of figured it out as I went along, right? I remember when I first produced that, I ended up producing 2 other trainings right after that. And I was going to events and I was getting orders, and then I'd have to ship all these orders if we ran out of product there. And I remember I knew the people at the post office because I was coming home personally, boxing it up, sealing it, putting the address on it. And I remember one time I went there, and my wife was driving a Suburban at the time, and the entire Suburban was completely filled with boxes. And I kept walking in, these stacks of boxes. And I was like, I got to do something different. And that's why I ended up getting a fulfillment center in Seattle that ended up doing all my shipping, which was, took me about 2 years to figure that one out. But I finally figured it out.
That's the true mark of an entrepreneur. We figure it out, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't ask you about your, like, on the personal side. So you're married.
Been married for 27 years. I've got two boys, 17 and 19. 19-year-old just got back day before yesterday from a month in Italy and Greece. And so he's home, and I think he's getting ready to go on the road again and go camping probably tomorrow. So yeah, two great boys. And Carla and I have been together for 31 years. So
that's awesome. Congratulations. Do the boys have do they have the bug? Are they following in the footsteps of writing their own ticket, or are they going the opposite way? It's kind of one or the other.
They've lived in this entrepreneurial household for so long, and I don't want to say they're spoiled, but it's not like we've like really wanted for anything. They both play instruments. My oldest plays the bass. The younger one plays the guitar. So they're super passionate about playing music. And honestly, I don't know what they're going to do yet, So, but I'll support them whatever they decide to do. And they're kind of at that age where especially the 19-year-olds, like, hey, what am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to go? So I don't know that they're going to do network marketing, but we'll see what happens. Yeah.
I think so my three kids, my oldest two grew up completely different than my third, because I was a teenager and a single mom, and then got married to Bobby, and we had my third and his first, and she grew up in having us home for her whole life. Since she was 2 years old. I got into network marketing when she was around 2. It's been almost 20 years for me. And one of the biggest differences is, being that we were both home and we had time and money, we got to pour into any little hobby that she wanted. So she's same as your boys. She played multiple instruments. She got to try all kinds of things: horseback riding, gymnastics, dance, anything that she wanted, because we had the time and the money to be able to do that. And, I'll be honest, all the things that we can say about our careers, the most important, the most profound has been, and the reason I got into network marketing is my role as a parent. And I feel like that's why there's so many people that are parents that are in network marketing, because you want to have a life with your family, and you've had a life the whole time.
Oh, no doubt. It's I remember one time when we were still living up in Washington State, and I think my oldest was probably 6, and we were shooting baskets on like a Tuesday or Wednesday morning or something, and all these cars at like 8 o'clock are like buzzing out of the neighborhood. Just zoom, right? You can see neighbors like leaving. He's like, Dad, where's everybody going? I'm like, buddy, they're going to work. He's like, they don't work at home. I'm like, It was like, most people like get up early. They go to work from like 8 to 5, 9 to 5, and then they come home and they have dinner. He's like, oh, I like what you do, So like it was funny. I just remember that. I was like, oh, my kid, saw these cars buzzing out of the neighborhood and realized, oh, my dad works from home. So, I don't, it's a beautiful thing, like doing your own thing. I can't even imagine. Nothing wrong with having a job. I mean, a lot of times network marketers will say stupid stuff like, oh, job, just over broke, or jump out of bed. Like, you should be honored and respected for taking care of your family, regardless of how you do it. But the freedom of choice, and it's not even about like wealth, like super fancy cars and crazy stuff. It's more about the choice. Like, we do a lot of camping and outdoor activities. And one of the things that I think is a kind of crazy, simple blessing is, most families who work, Monday through Friday, they bail on Friday afternoon to their campground or wherever they're going. And then they got to leave on Sunday and rush back and get unpacked and get ready for work on Monday. And we're always like, well, why don't we leave on Wednesday and avoid all the traffic, get to camp where we can be alone. We have actually a private campground that we own, but, and then when we leave, instead of buzzing out on Sunday, we're like, oh, let's just let everybody leave on Sunday and we'll go home on Monday. And so little stuff like that is the freedom that, residual income can buy when you're in a leveraged business. So it's pretty awesome.
Yes. Yes. And, it's funny, 2 things. So my youngest daughter, same thing. We always joke, because now she's almost 22, but Bobby and I took her to and from school, and we were both at every event, no matter what it was, her whole life, until she could drive a car. And even now, when she comes home, because she lives in Seattle now. But when she comes home to visit, if both of us are not present, like with everything that we're doing with her, she is actually angry about it. She's like, where's Dad? Where's Mom? Why aren't we all together? It's so normal to her, because that's been her world her entire life. And, I'm so happy, because it's very limited. It's 18 summers. I mean, it's 18 summers.
Yeah. And it's so funny when you're like a young parent and they're like, oh, you better pay attention, spend time with your kids. Before you know it, they'll be off to college and you don't see them anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to get through 12 diapers a day right now, and then now it's like, wow, I've got one who's basically 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And the other one, we got one more year left. So to be able to, and there is nothing more important, when you're a parent, like just raising your kids and that family time. We've got just an incredible family unit. So I cherish every moment we get a chance to spend together. So,
well, and the thing is, that's different than your life. And I had such a stark contrast between my older two kids and my youngest because I didn't have the time with them. They spent their vacations with my parents and my grandparents because I had to work. And with Savannah, we made so many memories with her. This is what you have with your boys. So that by the time, when they leave, first of all, I don't think they're as quick to leave because you have these different kind of relationships. It's different. It is a different relationship. Not that she didn't want to get out and be on her own, but there is a different, we have such a deep well of memories that you are able to create. That's, kind of what this whole life is about. Bobby and I lived Tuesday through Thursday on everything we ever did. Vacations, movies, everything. We did exactly what you the way that you lived. And I know it sounds foreign to people, even to this day, kind of, I'm not in the same leverage that I used to be as when I was a network marketer running the company. But on the weekends where everybody else like, what are you going to do? We're like, we stay home. We are trained. We stay home while everybody's out doing the thing. Do you think, since you've seen the ebbs and flows and all the changes, I've seen a lot of stuff just recently of people saying, oh, network marketing has changed. I would love to know your opinion on what you think the state of the profession is right now compared to, maybe what it was before COVID, before 2020, and just like it's totally changed. We have the gig economy, you have affiliate marketing, you have influencers. It literally is a different looking space. I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah. I think revenue wise, if we look globally, it's pretty flat. There's not a lot of net growth in terms of total sales that are being made through the entire space. It's like 183 billion a year globally through all direct sales channels. During COVID, we saw a spike, and it was kind of a false spike. These companies, the companies that had a good infrastructure already grew, everybody's checks grew, sales grew, but then post COVID, it went away. It's interesting. We attracted people that came here. They were kind of here for a little while, but then they're back onto their jobs. I'm sure some of those people stuck because they were like, hey, I discovered network marketing during that time frame. I get asked all the time, because I've been around for so long, 35 plus years, that, how has network marketing changed? And, and I've been present during that whole time. So it's not like I was sleeping or during any of that. So right. I don't really think, the industry itself the model hasn't changed. There's no change to the model. It's always been, hey, you find a cool product or service that you think you can get behind and you go out and share that product with people and you build a team based around that product or that brand. I mean, that's the way it always has been. That's the way it always will be. The things that have changed, obviously, are the bells and the whistles and the tools. So, instead of doing an in-home presentation or a hotel meeting or whatever it is, a business briefing, everything now is done typically through some kind of video or streaming video in terms of the presentation. So the things that have changed are the information dissemination tools. And then I will say, social media has definitely created an interesting situation with our ability to connect and massively expand our reach. I do think that there's a big downside to that. And I train about this all the time because I actually I think I did a training video last week about this, that, we're creating this generation of keyboard warriors that kind of hide behind their screen, and they're in DMing and instant messaging and posting cute stuff on Instagram or whatever they're doing. And they're kind of trying, and you can make some sales that way and you could probably recruit some people that way, but you're not going to build a sustainable, business that has culture and bonds and connectivity by just, sending out messages. So the thing that I see happening is people become too reliant on social media, and they're not developing, the necessary communication skills, the interaction skills that are required in developing and building a business. So, it's like, oh, I can't talk to people. I can't be around people. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, this is a networking business. And I think, what I'm always teaching is be well-rounded, have a multitude of ways that you build your business and stay relevant. It's important for somebody like myself that, came out of the dark ages in network marketing, no internet, no email, no social media, no video. And, I've had to, like everyone, okay, here comes social media. I start using social media. Here comes streaming video. Okay, here comes Zoom, whatever it is. And you're just learning those things as you go along. And you're like, hey, this is a cool tool that makes my business easier. But I'm always warning people because it's interesting. There's certain network marketing companies that all they do is Facebook, for example.
Yeah.
And Facebook doesn't really like network marketing.
No, they hate us.
No, they do. They do. And then, occasionally this isn't like the big warning, but sometimes Facebook breaks. It's broken a couple times where you couldn't do anything, or it doesn't break, but they break you and they ended up kicking you off of Facebook for whatever reason. It's like, you have no control of this free tool that you're using. And then all of a sudden you like wake up one morning, you're like, yeah, your account's been disabled. That happened to me one time. And it wasn't because I did anything. It was like, I woke up one morning, I was logged out of my Facebook on my phone. I was like, that's weird. I came upstairs and I couldn't log in. And it was like, your account's been disabled. It took me 3 weeks to get back online. And I was like, I was running ads on my business page. So I couldn't even do split testing on my ads or do anything. And it's like, they were still taking my money. And then I had to prove to them that it was me. So I had to literally take a picture next to my driver's license. I was wearing the same exact shirt in my driver's license. I found it. And like, oh, somebody else has that ID. I'm like, no, dude, there's no way. My ID's, you gotta, Russell Brunson's a good friend of mine. He's a legendary direct marketer. And he talks about traffic that you own and traffic that you control. Like, okay, Facebook, if you're average, whatever it is, anything, so internet, social media, whatever social media tool we're talking about, you can direct traffic and you can guide people through cool posts or whatever you're doing, but you don't own that.
No.
But the people that are on my email list or the people that are right here on my phone, this is something I completely own and control.
Yeah.
And so if you're in a networking business, like, this is the most valuable asset to me, not the phone itself, but what's in the phone.
Yep.
The 7,200 personal contacts that I have in my phone.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge statement. And if you're listening, I just did this with a group of people. I asked them, how many contacts do you have in your phone? And one of the girls had 25. I said, if you want to be a network marketer, you need to put some zeros in the back of that 25. Like what I have found with, especially with the younger network marketers, the millennials, with the advent of social media, they become marketers and not networkers. And the networking part of network marketing, they have skipped. They're just market, and they don't know how to network. They don't know how to connect. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to develop people. So the thing about network marketing is it's the networking part that's more important than the marketing part, in my opinion, or at the very least equal. At the very least, it's equal.
For sure. And what's so funny about what you said is all these new younger millennials are all focused on the marketing side and not the networking side.
Yes.
And all the older people that have been around for so long, they're all on the networking side. Yeah. And I teach about this too. I'm like, the word is network marketing. You need to be able to network and you need to be able to market. And a lot of times, like, I'm dealing with like people that have been around for a long time, or somebody's in their 40s, 50s, 60s that have been around, and they're like, marketing, what's a capture page? What's a lead magnet? I'm like, what? So
what's Zoom? Well, everybody learned about Zoom after 2020. We'd been using Zoom for years. So when COVID happened, it's probably the same for you and your wife, Carla. Like, my world did not change much. When the whole world got shut down, not much changed for Bobby and I. Was like, we actually lived this way anyway. We kind of did things on our own. It didn't matter very much that we couldn't do all the things, because we were still doing all the things that we could do, and we were still working at home. But this is an important component. And I use this phrasing. I say, you have to evolve or you evaporate. Technology is happening quick. And if you have chosen the profession of network marketing, I don't care if you've been around for 5 decades. If you are not evolving with the new tools, you are going to age out. And I've seen that with a lot of network marketers that are Bobby's age, that they're just like, yeah, I don't use this, I don't use that. It's like, well, then no wonder you can't build anymore, because this is the way to build.
No doubt.
Fun.
Stay relevant.
Have to stay relevant. I love it. Well, I want to slightly switch gears because I did a post on Facebook and it was like calling for kingdom speakers, and you happened to, I don't know, write a comment in there, and then we got connected. So we have this event we do a speaker academy as well. And we have an event on the heels of it called Kim 10, and it's a kingdom impact message in 10 minutes. And really kind of the heart behind what we're trying to do is to create a platform, a prestigious platform too, not just a platform. Like I want this, my visions of Kim 10 is that it is the platform that people are clamoring to say that they spoke on. Because up until now, as a speaker, as a professional speaker, everybody wants to get on the TED stage. But as a person that has a message of faith, is very, very discouraged. Matter of fact, I had a conversation with somebody that works very, very closely with Bob Goff, and they invited him to do a TED talk at some event. Some TED event in Southern California. And they said, listen, like he's free to talk about whatever he wants, as long as he doesn't talk about like God, his faith and everything. Well, of course, his whole message is a message of faith. But that's one of the things that they're very specific about. And so I wanted to create a platform where people, I mean, you don't have to be talking about God, but you are open to. It is a platform for people that are faith-filled people that are believers to feel free to come. And, we're living in a time now, and we just saw this with the kicker from that, from the Chiefs. Here he was invited to speak at a Catholic school as a Catholic, and he is being demonized to a degree that literally is laughable, because if he went up there to talk about Buddha or Muhammad or Hinduism, nobody would have even had a second thought. But because it includes the foundations of Christian faith, he's like the worst guy on the planet. And I think that is just a really, it motivates me even more to continue to push hard to actually create spaces for people that they can go there and talk about what they want without feeling like they're going to get, canceled in this wild and crazy world. I think we have an aligned belief on that. And I'm just so excited. I would just, if you want to just say something about why you said yes, because you speak at very, very big, on very big stages with very big platforms. This is an inaugural event. We're hoping for a couple hundred people to show up at it. As of this recording, the event hasn't happened yet. And I'm like wildly, wildly grateful to have somebody of your caliber, with your heart, with your experience, to be a keynote at this event. And, I don't know, why'd you say yes?
Honestly, because Christians are under attack and the devil is present, and it's like God is being canceled. Honestly, I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
Like just the stuff that's going on in our country right now is absolute insanity. Like that whole deal with him and people just blasting him. I mean, we could seriously, I mean, all of a sudden I just felt my blood pressure go up, because it's like,
it's wild.
like I do some work in the anti-sex trafficking space, and I have adult boys, but like the indoctrination, the sexual indoctrination of children at a young age in school, that's the devil's handiwork.
Yes, it is.
It's being pushed. I don't want to get political, but you almost can't not get political when we talk about this, because it's definitely not the, conservative right. And what's interesting is, like, if you're like, I'm a white guy, I'm a conservative white Christian man. And so what am I? I'm now an extremist. Like I'm an extremist terrorist is basically what I'm being called.
Don't forget racist.
Yeah, exactly. Racist, extremist, terrorist. I'm like, bro, I'm so far from that. And it's just, what's happening is there's such a push, and it's like, here, the devil is at work, man. So like when I saw what you're doing, I'm like, hey, I'll come and speak. I haven't figured out what I'm going to talk about yet. I will figure that out before I get there, of course. But
I have no doubt.
But I just, like, we need more people to stand up, and we need people to voice, their thoughts and their opinions, because that side is loud and they're aggressive, and it's absolutely terrible. I mean, it's interesting because I was never on Twitter. Like I've been on Twitter for, I don't know, probably 15, 16 years, but I was never really on Twitter. And then when Elon took over, and it was like, oh, freedom of speech, because there's no freedom of speech on Facebook, Instagram, this stuff. You get canceled so quick. And I was like, oh, here's a place where I can go talk. And I'm not in there just blasting stuff all the time, but it's like, all right, this is a safe place where I can go communicate. And some of the stuff I see there, it's just like, wow, like what is going on in our world? I mean, honestly, I don't care what side of the political equation that you're on. How do you not see the stuff that's going on in the United States right now? Like, really, like, how do you not see it? So, I just think that, what you guys are doing is amazing. I want to be part of it. And I think that there needs to be, we need to, prayer's been taken out of schools. It's like, what happened to I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America? And just the stuff, again, like this is one of those things, if you get me talking about it, it's like, whoa, it's 3:00 in the afternoon. It's 2-3 hours later, we're still here.
Well, I mean, it's because it hits to the heart of, especially, I think, especially for even more so for entrepreneurs. Why? Because we have selected a life where we have independent thoughts, independent decisions, right? Like we've kind of gone outside of the box, of the traditional box. And what I think a big part of the problem is, people have been slowly been being indoctrinated, but through every television show, every movie, so that things actually seem normal. And, I think for the most part, they call and I don't want to be political either, but they call the right, the silent right. You know what I mean? Because they're just living their life, doing their thing for the most part. Of course, you have extremists, but for the most part, but I don't think we can be silent anymore, because being silent has gotten us nowhere. And I think that part of the reason that things have devolved, this is just an opinion, is because Christians left the room. We were never supposed to leave the room. We were never supposed to leave schools. We weren't supposed to leave politics. We weren't supposed to leave business. We weren't supposed to leave the stages, but people decided this is for pastors. This is for people specifically in ministry. And Christians left the room, and our influence left schools, it left politics, it left business. And I think that's why it's devolved to the degree that has devolved. And it's time for us to come back. The Bible, Jesus tells a story about going into the house, and there was a demon in the house, and he cleaned the house of demons, and he left. And when he left, 7 demons came back in. So the moral here is that when there's a vacuum, when there's not the presence of God somewhere, that the demonic presences will come in, and it'll come in fast and strong in a big way. There was one there, they cleaned it out, it was empty, and what came back? 7 more. And I think that's what's happened in business, on every stage, in the media, all over television and entertainment. And I'm excited to align myself with people like you that are like, listen, cancel me then. I'm going to continue to fight the good fight and work to, put God back and bring God back to the room.
100%.
Well, I'm excited to actually have you in the room, whatever you feel like talking about. I will make sure. Do you have something coming up that you want to promote that you can tell them a website, tell them where to go to?
I don't have an impending event necessarily, but if you want to just find out what I do, and if you're involved in network marketing and looking for some answers on how to be better at it, if you go to toddfalcone.com, I've got hundreds of free training videos on there. You don't even have to buy anything, and you'll get tons of training. I've got all sorts of resources to help you figure out how to be successful in the space.
He also he goes live a lot on his own social media and just pours out training. And we'll make sure that his information is in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast, and right below the video if you're watching this on YouTube. And I just want to say thank you for who you are. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for saying yes to our event, and keep fighting the good fight.
You as well. I look forward to seeing you soon. Appreciate it.